The story begins at the pinnacle of the 9 heavens. The elder informs everyone that, on that day, the venerable celestial of the 9 leaves will prove his Tao as a saint and take his place above the 9 heavens. Most of the cultivators are present to witness this, since it is a historic event. He finishes his sentence because it is time for the appearance of the venerable celestial, and the MC walks through the gate accompanied by his wives. The girls are all beautiful and sensual, and the cultivators become filled with envy, thinking the MC is extremely showy. Another guy says that he definitely got lucky to have 8 beautiful empresses, each one more gorgeous than the last. A superior orders the juniors to show respect, since they are about to witness something they may never see again in their lives. In the past, the MC fought against the race of monsters and destroyed the demonic kingdom. He is basically an invincible existence. A portal begins to form in the sky, and Louis becomes happy since he will finally ascend, and even wants to see who would dare to stop him. He flies into the sky, and the people become excited since everything is about to begin. However, someone else also appears among the clouds. It is the venerable celestial Gujin amidst the eternal tribulation, considered the #1 tribulation in that world. The cultivators say they firmly believe in the MC since he is invincible. Louis questions whether he wants a duel, and the old man tells him to hurry up. Immediately, the MC awakens his aura and charges at Gujin with maximum power, to the point of creating an enormous flash with so many explosions. Meanwhile, the MC's 8 empress wives watch attentively. Chuling tells her master that they waited for far too long. At that moment, Gujin activates his temporal manipulation, and the cultivators know the danger that is coming next, since that technique allows clones to travel through multiple temporal dimensions to hunt the MC, because if he dies in any timeline, he will suffer fatal damage in the current one. Louis smiles since he had been waiting for him to use that technique, but he makes it clear that regardless of the timeline, he remains invincible. The old man attacks while telling him to stop talking nonsense, since he hunted him in every version across every timeline and defeated them one by one. The MC simply cannot believe that such a thing is possible, and the old man admits that his opponent's strength is extraordinary, but unfortunately, he was infected by the Tao Devourer. He realizes it is true, and cannot understand who is plotting against him until an idea crosses his mind, and he wonders if it was his wives. All the girls are laughing at the situation, and he finally understands that those women truly were the only ones capable of doing something like that. Gujin laments that Louis fell into the trap of the women he loved so much, despite being an honorable and loyal man. Immediately they argue back, saying that the MC was nothing more than a tyrant who forced everything through power. They call him a demon and even want to deliver the final blow to that defeated man. That is because once he dies, they will finally be free. The MC becomes filled with fury since he treated all of them very well, because otherwise they would never have become empresses. The old man tells him not to lose focus and lands a powerful attack that slams him into the ground. Louis, smiling, understands that he will die no matter what, and, while releasing all of his power, says that at least everyone will die together. Zhu Yan tells everyone to run, but Gujin asks the MC not to act so pathetically, because that battle was not interesting at all. He admits that defeating someone who was poisoned would bring him no honor whatsoever, and because of that, he gives him a chance. He creates a portal that sucks in the MC and all of his wives. The old man tells him to come back and try again, so that he will not disappoint him next time. The venerable celestial Gujin activated the temporal reversal technique, sending the souls of Louis and the 8 empresses 50 years into the past. The MC regains consciousness, wondering if he truly returned. At that moment, his wife opens the door while feeling a little dizzy. She becomes startled when she sees him and cannot understand why she returned to the past or if it was all a dream. The MC finds this incredible since, from what he realized, his wives also returned. He deeply thanks the venerable celestial Gujin for giving him the chance to choose his fate once again. Then, he takes off his shoes and orders the woman to wash his feet. He imagines that he could instantly kill her to take revenge for the betrayal, but sometimes death is not the worst punishment. He knows the girl is full of hatred and resentment and wants to play with that. He is determined to keep her alive so she can witness with her own eyes how miserable their lives will become without him. Then, without wasting time, he tells them that they were not dreaming since everyone truly returned to the past. Chuling is shocked upon hearing that. He explains that Gujin's technique was responsible and that he remembers the day of the betrayal perfectly. She starts sweating coldly without knowing what her fate will be, and the MC simply tells her that from that day onward, she is free. He shows her the life tablet and burns the contract. That way, she will be able to return to the mansion. The confused girl comments that he has 9 lives and does not understand why he chose to destroy himself in the very first one. The MC makes it clear that it has nothing to do with her and orders her to get away from him immediately. Chuling obeys and guarantees that even if he is reborn, he will still suffer a horrible death. She imagines that she possesses the innate sword body and that if it were not for him, she would have had a much better life. After saying that, she goes to meet her family. Louis finds the situation incredible since his ex-wife has a bastard father, a shameless mother, and a useless brother, and she will finally understand where true hell lies. In this life, he will show no mercy to any of them, and without the burden of those 8 women, he will be able to reach a higher realm. Suddenly, one of them destroys the door with a kick, and he immediately knows it must be Hong Ling. The girl calls out to him and guarantees that she will kill him. However, he grabs her by the neck and questions whether she still has the courage to do anything. She, embarrassed, asks what he thinks he is doing. The MC makes it clear that the slut will repair his door, otherwise he will kill her on the spot. She warns him that she will not do it since she wants to be with Wuxi. He tells her to enjoy her life if she wants to chase after that guy so badly, and when she realizes she might truly die, she changes her mind about repairing the door. She thinks this is terrible, since even after returning to the past, she is still no match for him. The MC throws the girl onto the ground and makes it clear that if the door is not repaired by the time he returns, she will suffer a painful death. Hongling points out that they were companions in the past, and yet he still treats her this way. He responds that all of that remained in the past, and that in this life they have nothing to do with each other. After going outside, he greets his master. Shulan notices that it is him, but finds it strange that he only has 1 life. He becomes slightly embarrassed and replies that he lacked sufficient skill and, in order to achieve a breakthrough, fused his 9 lives together. She says that she found a method to suppress the lunar power of chaos, so he should treat the events of the past as nothing more than a dream. However, that can never happen again, and if he ever harbors any treacherous thoughts again, he will be expelled from the sect. Louis says he understands, but he does not know if she truly found a method, because if he had not transferred the chaos poison into his own body, things would have become complicated. He goes to meditate since he returned to the 5th layer of the Qi refinement stage and, with a flick of his fingers, summons his system. He feels relieved since he did not lose this resource, and asks why Kronos, who is the system, manifested the eternal tribulation directly on him. The system responds that it was obviously going to do something like that, since it wants to prepare him to become stronger. Louis thanks him, but asks to cultivate in peace already. Meanwhile, outside the main gate of the Chu Sword Mansion, Chuling finally manages to climb the stairs, and, extremely exhausted, tells her family that she has returned. The guards notice her presence and order her to stop where she is, since they have no idea where this beggar came from. She does not understand what is happening, and points out that she is not a beggar, but Chuling, the eldest among the sisters. He once again asks where this savage came from, and how she dares to impersonate a member of the family. She once again asks them to look carefully at her face, since he carried her in his arms when she was little, and therefore should remember her. He orders her to stay away again, since she is not part of that family's bloodline. Deep inside, he wonders why the hell this girl returned since she had finally escaped from hell and came back only to die. She tries to explain that even though she is not the biological daughter of the heads of the family, they still loved her as if she were their blood daughter. Another cultivator shouts that it really is Chuling and that she apparently returned home. The first guard thinks this is terrible since everything is ruined now. Her parents run over to see her, saying that they missed her very much. Her mother questions where the hell she has been all this time since she did not send even a single letter and left everyone worried. She apologizes because she had been kidnapped, but guarantees that she will never leave them again. Shifei, who is her older brother, cries while celebrating since the scapegoat has returned, and because of that, they are now safe. In the first heaven, where the great Dao sect is located, the weakest world among several existing realms, with his past experience, the MC only took 15 days to advance from the 5th layer to the 9th. He starts coughing blood and does not understand what is happening since his chi and his core are not merging in harmony. The system points out that a heavenly paralysis poison has been detected. He cannot believe such nonsense and thinks it was the work of his ex-wives. He realizes that the girls wanted to guarantee that even with 9 lives he would never be able to rise again. But little did they know that he had a trump card up his sleeve. Chrono says that to neutralize the poison, he must advance to the core formation realm. He gets an idea since he once refined a perfect return to origin pill, and if he takes it, he will be able to advance. However, it is absurdly rare, and in his past life he ended up giving this pill to Hong Ling, but he guarantees that in this current life, he will keep it for himself. At that moment, he notices something and a bird appears, announcing that Hong Ling achieved perfection in qi refinement in 1 month and 17 days, breaking the refinement record, and the reward was a bottle of return pills. Louis expected no less from a future empress since her cultivation speed is terrifying. He jumps off the mountain and tells the system that he is going to the tomb of the void refinement specialist to recover what is his. More than 1,000 kilometers west of the sect, there is an ancient tomb. According to Louis' experience, it will only be discovered within a month. Hong Ling goes to that place. The most valuable treasures are inside the fragmented scrolls of the Heavenly and Mortal Sutra. She boasts since in that new life she is 1 step ahead of him until she gets startled because the book says that the bitch arrived too late. She gets irritated since she was deceived, and at that moment, several beams of light appear beside her, and, knowing what it is, she asks the MC to let her out because she is now trapped. 3 days later, she is finally released and immediately kicks the door, ordering Louis to get outside. However, she is struck by the heavenly palms, which send the girl flying away. The MC looks at her completely defeated face and questions whether her parents never taught her to knock before entering. She thinks this has already gone too far, since even if she died outside, she would never surrender to him. So, being polite, she asks him to please open the door, but he tells her to get lost already. Hong Ling accuses him of taking the perfect return to origin pill from the ancient tomb. Once again, she is struck by the heavenly palms and tries to control herself so she will not get angry, asking once more if he took the pill from the ancient tomb. She charges at him, accusing him of being a coward for not admitting it, and because of that, she will kill him. At that moment, Chulan appears asking her to calm down, and the girl, seeing that it is her master, falls on her butt and accuses Louis of hitting her. She asks the MC why he did that, and he replies that the brat entered his room without knocking and has no manners at all. She does not understand what is happening and asks Hong Ling what she wants with Louis. The Silk Empress responds that he took the perfect return pill, and since it is useless to him, she wants to make a trade. Chulan agrees since with his aptitude there is no need to use that kind of pill and warns that she can provide anything else he needs. The MC apologizes, but says that he actually needs this pill. Hong Ling points out that this is nonsense and questions whether he really believes that she cannot condense a saint core without using this pill. He shows the item, and his master asks him to be a good boy. However, he laughs and devours the pill. Chulan cannot believe such absurdity, and the Silk Empress leaves furiously, promising that she will find a way to condense the saint core to rub it in his face. Chulan says that she even understands him holding a grudge but did not think this was necessary. Meanwhile, at the Chu Sword Mansion, Chuling is tasting porridge prepared by her mother and thanks her since she treats people better than anyone else and guarantees that she will never leave that family again. Shui Yue asks if that is serious and if they are even better than her biological parents. She says that those people disappeared when she was born, so there is not even a way to compare them. Her adoptive mother stands up and tells her to rest a little, but deep inside, she is celebrating, since now they are safe with this girl's return. Chuling feels strange and asks why she is feeling sleepy. Her mother tells her to sleep, and she finds it strange because the drowsiness is hitting her very strongly. She decides to circulate the Great Massacre Sword Sutra to see what is happening and realizes that she was poisoned, wondering if it was through the porridge. But she thinks that is impossible since it was prepared by her mother's own hands, and she does not understand why she would poison her. At that moment, someone knocks on the door asking if she has already fallen asleep. She quickly lies down to pretend, and the family enters, saying that they can begin since Chuling has been poisoned. Shifei praises her, saying that his mother is a very cunning old woman. She thanks him for the compliment and orders them to quickly take the girl to the old ancestor. Meanwhile, all Chuling can do is cry over this betrayal. They carry the body outside. The mansion lord questions the guard about whether he already got rid of Chusi. He responds that everything was resolved and no witnesses were left alive. The old man thinks that is great since a mere servant almost ruined his grand plans. Then he turns to his son and points out that if the girl had not suddenly returned to die, he would have been the sword sacrifice, and this should serve as a lesson. Shifei says that he learned his lesson and promises that from that moment onward, he will cultivate diligently. Chuling, hearing that conversation, does not understand why the hell they are talking about sacrifice and finally realizes that she was created for that purpose. The boy, excited, asks if he could not use the girl a little since she is going to die anyway. His father becomes furious since he does not understand what kind of disgusting thing he is talking about, since technically the girl is still his sister, and tells him not to stain the family's reputation. He apologizes since, as far as he knows, she is the daughter of 2 dead slaves, and they are not even of the same blood. Chuling starts crying since she finally discovered that her biological parents were killed by that family. Shuiyue suggests to the Lord that he let their son spend half an hour alone with the girl, but he does not allow it, since if the refinement of the ancestor's sword is delayed, the whole family will pay a price. The sword lady hears that indignantly, since she treated that woman as if she were her own mother, and she is suggesting cruel things. And she is finally understanding the real reason why the MC never let her return home. She remembers a day when she asked for that since she wanted to see her parents, whom she missed so much. Louis says that those old people are not even her biological parents and therefore does not understand the rush. She explains that her adoptive parents treated her better than her biological parents ever could, so he cannot speak about them like that. The MC apologizes and warns that he will take her home as soon as the sword is finished. Chuling realizes that he is lying since she does not know what kind of sword takes so long to refine. Sometime after that request, she returned and the family's mansion was in flames, and she placed all the blame on Louis for what happened to her parents. With those memories, she considers that the sword he always talked about was the demonic sword that had been in her possession the whole time. Meanwhile, the MC watches what is happening through his system, and Kronos says that it is a shame Chuling is unconscious and cannot hear what the family is saying. He does not believe that since she returned from the realm of the Great Empress and would not be taken down by such a weak drug, and she simply does not have the courage to face the truth. The system questions whether he is going to save her, and he replies that obviously not, since just seeing her like that is already enough, besides the fact that the girl does not need anyone to save her. The family finally arrives at the temple and greets the ancestor Kang Sheng. He looks at the girl, thinks she is excellent, and asks everyone to stay back, since they must witness together the completion ceremony of the demonic sword. Inside, he places the sword into blazing flames and says that the sword carries more than 30 years of his blood and sweat, and that is the final step. Xiangtian congratulates him since the demonic sword has been completed and he will be able to enter directly into the nascent soul realm. He orders them to begin immediately, and the mansion lord, carrying Chuling, says that this sacrifice will repay them for raising her all those years. Then he throws her into the flames, and Shifei thinks it is a complete waste to lose such a hot girl like that. At that moment, she laughs and throws her blood onto the sword. Xiongtian does not understand what is happening, and, in the blink of an eye, she appears as the new owner of the demonic sword. They do not understand how that is possible, or if she did not die. Chuling advances toward the ancestor, and he blocks the attack, but his sword is not strong enough and breaks. As a consequence, his head is cut off. She takes a deep breath and says that a demonic sword should be used to massacre demons. Xiangtian becomes terrified by that power and asks who the girl really is. Chuling replies that she treated that old man as her closest family, and, even so, he betrayed her. He asks to return home since the girl is extremely powerful, and it is no longer necessary to use her as a sacrifice. She tells him to shut up and, with a single movement, cuts his head off. Then she turns to her brother, calling him an animal, and the boy agrees and asks her to treat him like a dog as long as she does not kill him. However, it is useless since she also finishes him off because he is worse than a dog. At that moment, Shuiyu enters the temple, gets startled, and asks her daughter where everyone is. Chuling says that she does not know who she is talking about, and she screams that she is talking about her father and brother. The girl, irritated, says that she has no family, and also kills her adoptive mother since, from her point of view, they all deserve to die. The MC watches all of that from the sidelines and thinks it is incredible since his ex-wife did not leave a single living soul in the mansion, not even the chickens. He turns off the transmission, and the system asks if he does not want to keep watching and points out that a nascent soul realm cultivator is about to arrive at the mansion to kill her. The MC says that serves her right. Chuling, after massacring everyone from that clan, cannot stop crying because she lived in a lie. At that moment, Lijian appears, thinking all of that is incredible, and even starts drooling since the demonic sword was truly forged successfully. He prepares his attack since he does not believe the sword will do her any good, but before finishing his strike, he notices that the girl is not even reacting. He thinks that is pathetic and attacks at once to kill her, but the demonic sword reacts to the attack and throws the cultivator far away, even tearing his clothes apart with the explosion. He looks at Chuling and does not understand how a girl at the core formation stage has such an extraordinary ability and believes that she is hiding an enormous secret. She simply gets up and starts running away. Lijian insists that she should not run since he only wants to talk. But she knows that she was wrong all this time, and all she wants is redemption. The next day, the Silk Empress is once again knocking on the MC's door, and, since there is no response, she prepares to kick the whole damn place down, but remembers that the other times she did, that there were serious consequences, and therefore thinks it is better to leave it alone. She shouts that she managed to condense the celestial core without the help of the pill, and asks if such a petty man sabotaged her cultivation on purpose, since she expected nothing less from him. The system comments that the girl does not stop insulting him, and therefore wants to know if he is simply going to let it happen. Louis explains that he sealed his own hearing to focus on cultivation, and nothing in this life will stop him from becoming a saint. At that moment, Chulan appears telling the girl to stop shouting and questions what her celestial core has to do with Louis. Hong Ling says that in the past, every time she advanced, he gave her a mountain of treasures and pills, saying that he would make her advancement perfect, and now she has to seek everything on her own, but her true chi is completely messed up, and she only managed to condense a celestial core. Her master tells her to stop talking nonsense, since in the past Louis refined and adjusted the treasures and pills countless times, and therefore wants to know if she has any idea how much effort he put into that, and finds it funny that she wants the same result while doing everything alone. She becomes embarrassed and asks if every time she managed to advance a realm, it was the result of the MC's countless experiments. Shulan tells her to remember whether he did not help her ever since she was little, and asks if she truly does not understand that, and therefore wants her to apologize immediately. She refuses, accusing the MC of separating her from Wuxi and indirectly causing his death, and therefore says that she will never forgive him. Her master says that is fine, but orders her to go to the back mountain to reflect on her actions. And, until she realizes her mistake, she must not leave without permission. Hongling simply obeys the order and leaves. Meanwhile, Cheling continues his journey and feels happy, since he has finally arrived at the Great Tao sect. A girl sees her approaching, and Chuling falls to the ground saying Louis' name. At the same moment, Lijian appears apologizing, since he has been chasing that woman for a long time, and warns that he has no intention of offending the Great Tao sect, and because of that, will take her away immediately. The guard draws his sword, telling him to wait, since the girl mentions someone from their sect, and because of that, they need to verify whether she is someone the MC knows. Because of that, he orders the guard not to let him take her away until he returns. The girl goes to the White Orchid Peak, which is where Louis' quarters are located, and informs them that a woman named Chuling is outside being chased and severely injured, and, because of that, wants to know if he knows her. The MC replies that he does not know who she is. The system questions whether he truly intends to let her die. Louis comments about the betrayal he suffered in the past, in addition to not believing that his ex-wife would die. The woman returns outside and informs them that, in fact, the sect disciple does not know the fallen woman. Lijian thanks them, and since he was certain that the great sect is a righteous faction and would not associate with a demon, he prepares to take her away, since he does not want to see the name of the esteemed sect stained, but his arm is frozen instantly. He looks upward, asking who did that, and Kulan appears flying, ordering him to stop immediately. The cultivators greet the martial master, and she makes it clear that he will not be able to take Chuling away. Lijian gets irritated and asks if the magnificent Great Tao sect is really going back on its own word, since that does not seem like righteous behavior. The guard tells him to shut up, otherwise they will test how sharp the edge of their swords is. He is not intimidated, since his own sword is not dull either. However, it was not even amusing, since with a single movement, Chulan completely freezes the guy, not even giving him time to react. She orders them to take care of the corpse, since she will take Chuling back to the sect. They return inside, and one of the healers, seeing the girl's condition, asks how she ended up so badly injured. Chulan comments that, in truth, the girl should already be dead, and finds this absurd willpower incredible. The woman asks her not to worry, since as long as she is still breathing, she can save her. Sometime later, Chuling wakes up calling for the young master, and, upon seeing her master beside her, asks where he is. She replies that Lui is still in seclusion and cannot come out at the moment. Chuling assumes that the MC asked them to save her, and, because of that, thanks her, although she still needs to meet the young master. Chulan tells her not to rush, since she first needs to heal her injuries, and by the time she recovers, perhaps he will already have come out of seclusion. However, she is restless, since she wants to apologize to him for the misunderstanding all this time because, in truth, he never tried to possess her and was always protecting her, even without realizing it. And she believes that all the sisters misunderstood him. The healer, hearing all of this, becomes extremely embarrassed, since if she understood correctly, they are talking about something perverted. The master notices that the healer is listening to everything and, because of that, orders her to leave for a moment, since there are things she needs to say in private. She says that it is fine and asks them to talk freely. Shulan asks her disciple not to call her sister, but rather senior, so they will not have problems. The healer, curious, returns to try to listen in, but the senior notices immediately and places a protective barrier that makes the girl unable to understand anything anymore, since she cannot hear absolutely anything. This leaves her furious, since she is becoming increasingly curious about this perverted gossip. A long time later, Louis stretches, and the system says that Chuling has been sitting outside for a very long time, and, because of that, wants to know if it would not be good to take a look. He replies that obviously not, especially because he has not forgotten what that woman did to him in his past life, and concluded that women only serve to slow down his cultivation speed, so in this new life, nothing else will matter besides cultivating. Meanwhile, she remains deep in thought, believing that if she perseveres, one day he will forgive her. Now, a little about the Great Tao sect. It possesses 9 main peaks and 72 secondary peaks. The White Orchid Peak and the Scarlet Brilliance Peak are among them. At this moment, Hongling continues practicing her swordsmanship, and near the place, Wu Shuang is admiring all of her beauty. However, the girl notices his presence and throws her sword at the rock, while also asking who the hell he is. He introduces himself as the oldest disciple of the Scarlet Brilliance Peak. She imagines that this guy ascended to the 8th heaven and died fighting in the dark turmoil, and it would be fair to call him a hero. In addition, the boy refused the position of Holy Son and ended up becoming the Holy Son of the Great Tao sect. He explains that he saw her techniques, and her movements were precise and her energy flow stable, and because of that, he wanted some guidance. She laughs and claims that he has absolutely no chance. Wu Shuang dislikes those words, since she is not even older than him and still speaks with such arrogance, and they will only know the result by fighting. At the same moment, she appears in front of him and tells him to challenge Louis, and if he manages to win, then he may duel her. Wu Shuang asks who the hell Louis is, and since he has no grudge against him, it makes no sense to challenge him. Hongling explains that this is exactly the reason she was punished by her master and sent to Scarlet Brilliance Peak. He asks for more details, like what exactly the MC did to her. The Silk Empress begins telling him everything, starting from the day she broke down Louis' door. Half an hour later, Wu Shuang becomes so enraged that his blood boils, and he has no idea how Louis can be called a senior. He leaves, since with his anger he wants to defeat the MC and make him apologize. She tells him to wait, since he is no match for Louis. Wu Shuang says that he is determined because if he does not teach that guy a lesson, he is not worthy of the title of senior brother. Sometime later, Louis hears someone knocking on the door and asks who the hell is outside. Wu Shuang introduces himself, and the MC remembers who that brat is and does not understand why he is there, since in his past life their first meeting should have happened during the tournament where he became champion and the guy ended up in second place. Thinking about that, he opens the door and asks what the senior brother from Scarlet Peak wants. The boy is surprised, since apparently he has heard about his story, and Louis says that obviously he has, since he is a cultivator who managed to condense a heavenly core in 2 months and 12 days, and that is impressive. Wu Shuang enters the house and explains that, in reality, it took him 2 months and 10 days, since he ended up getting stuck. The MC greets him once again, since he is definitely a splendid senior. Wu Shuang points out that he wants to challenge him and, because of that, tells him to wipe that smile off his face. He says that it is not a problem, since he was already bored anyway. The two go outside, and the MC notices that the brat is rushing recklessly, but since he knows he has potential, he decides to give him some guidance. He dodges the attack without even showing a reaction and prepares his punch, already apologizing for the offense. Wu Shuang tries to block, but he knows the situation is terrible. Louis, already knowing he would do that, smiles and appears behind the brat, landing a kick that makes him fall like a sack of potatoes. He asks if that is not enough already, but the boy asks for a rematch, and this time uses the Scarlet Brilliance sword art. He attacks confidently, believing that now it is impossible to dodge. However, Louis moves at an absurd speed, leaving the boy even more terrified as a punch heads toward him. The MC opens his hand, since he will only show this once. He grabs him by the clothes and throws him to the other side of the arena. Wu Shuang steadies himself by stabbing his sword into the ground, and the MC asks if he still wants to continue. The boy replies that he realized his opponent's abilities are superior, but he believes his own comprehension is better. Louis does not quite understand what he means by that, and he explains that he understood the concept of the second form of the Scarlet Sword art, saying that he unleashes another powerful attack. The MC admits that he truly possesses impressive comprehension, but with a simple wave of his arm, he completely destroys the attack. The senior simply does not know how to react to that, and Louis politely asks to end the fight. The boy immediately surrenders, since the difference in strength is absurd, and he is certain that the MC will go much farther than he ever could. Louis tells him to stay calm, and if anyone asks, he should say they fought for 10 rounds and that he lost by only a little. Wu Shuang thinks that is amazing and guarantees he will remember him. Saying that, he says goodbye. At that moment, Chuling appears, thinking it is incredible that Louis finally came out, but the MC, upon seeing her, almost instantly enters his house and shuts the door in her face. She kneels down, asking why he closed the door on her once again. Wu Shuang sees all of this and warns that a woman needs to have dignity since the sea is full of fish, and he does not understand why she insists so much. She pays no attention and keeps asking him to open the door. He decides to leave, since despite the girl being beautiful, she seems blind, since he himself is a complete handsome guy and was still ignored. Meanwhile, Hongling continues her sword training, and the boy appears saying he lost the duel. She says she already knew that would be the result, and he reveals that he found the MC to be a really nice guy and different from the monster she mentioned. Hongling laughs and says he may be nice to other men, but with women it is another story. He thinks about it and says that he actually saw a girl kneeling in front of his door while the guy refused to open it. She finds that strange and asks for the girl's name. The senior says that apparently her name is Chuling and that she is a very beautiful girl. Hongling realizes that this woman came back and starts feeling restless, since she cannot feel jealous. Wu Shuang cannot believe what he is seeing, since apparently she is also one of Louis's women. In any case, he warns that he fulfilled his promise and therefore asks for a duel with her. Hongling says that he did not even defeat the guy, but he does not care, since he only challenged him because of her and must bear the consequences. She replies that it is fine and attacks without mercy, guaranteeing that she will not hold back like Louis did. The explosions from the battle could be seen from far away, and 1 hour later, Wu Shuang is completely beaten up, and she tells him to leave already so he does not disturb her cultivation. He starts crying because he does not understand what happened to these people from White Orchid Peak, since each one is crueler than the other. Meanwhile, Hongling becomes thoughtful, trying to understand why Chuling returned, and decides to go back, because she needs to see this with her own eyes. The sword lady remains seated and keeps saying how much she was wrong until she collapses from exhaustion and the door opens. Immediately, she stands up asking for him, but realizes he disappeared without leaving any traces. At that moment, Hongling appears saying that Louis is not even there, so she does not understand why she is kneeling. Crying, she replies that she does not care because she will continue kneeling until he returns. The Empress tells her to stand up already, since all cultivators should have dignity, and she does not even understand why she is kneeling so much for him. Chuling replies that she was wrong, and since she was responsible for poisoning the young master with the celestial paralysis poison, then this is the punishment she deserves. Right after that, Chulan appears saying that all of that stayed in the past, and they should start over from this moment onward, and because of that, she should not blame herself so much. She says that is not the issue, since this poison cannot be purged, so he will carry it in his body forever because there is no cure. Hongling says she did not know that, since that means the poison attacked again even now. Choling says he did not refuse the return pill out of selfishness, but because the poison attacked and drained half of his strength. The Silk Empress apologizes to the senior, and she comments that apparently they all misunderstood everything this whole time and have no idea where the MC is. Meanwhile, on the mountain behind the Great Tao Sect, the MC watches all three of them through the system, and the system says they are waiting for his return. Louis tells it to let them wait, since he is cultivating peacefully and finally understood one thing about women, because they are nothing but obstacles on his Tao path. Kronos questions how long he intends to remain in that place, but Louis simply shuts off the system and says that until he reaches the 13th layer of the formation, he does not intend to return, because he needs to obtain the qualification to enter the Treasure Pavilion. 3 months later, it is announced that all peak masters must lead the disciples of Generation 92 to the plateau. The MC follows the path until he notices something when looking down, since the three girls are flying as well. At the same instant, Chuling notices his presence, and immediately the two ex-wives fly toward him, apologizing for everything they did. His master also asks him to wait, and while this is happening, the other cultivators observe three beauties chasing after a guy and apologizing, and this is simply shocking, since they themselves are mere simps witnessing all of this. The MC tells them to disappear at once, and this leaves the guys even more shocked, since he told three goddesses to get lost without even blinking. Hongling simply obeys because she does not want to bother him, and the master also leaves because she is exhausted. As for Chuling, she continues begging him to wait, and the male cultivators, still watching all of this, praise the MC as the true hero, and even ask him to accept the reverence of all these simps as the great savior. The elder orders everyone to stay silent, since they are about to hear a speech from the sect's vice master. Xiao Zhao introduces himself and says that the great Tao is vast and imposing, and humans maintain moral order. Ghosts confuse the heart, and demons roam freely. The MC gets sleepy from so much rambling and thinks the tone is very bureaucratic because it is identical to his past life. The old man informs everyone that the tournament will follow a single elimination format, that everyone must fight with everything they have, and cowardly acts will not be tolerated. Then, the 90th tournament of the sect's disciples officially begins. Hongling is the first to step into the arena, and everyone is left speechless by her overwhelming sensuality. She notices that Louis is not even looking in her direction, and that makes her furious, defeating her opponent with a single strike. The vice leader announces the winner, and the next one is Chuling, who is still trying to get the MC's attention, saying that she joined his sect. She simply cries because she failed to get his attention, and everyone cannot believe that such a beautiful woman is simping like this, and think it is absurd. She stands before her opponent, and Zhao Yan questions why she is chasing after a junior like this, even while being humiliated, since she is making all the female cultivators look bad. She thanks her for the concern, and replies that she is doing this because she wants to, since the young master is more important than the sword Tao itself. The girl becomes extremely furious at such nonsense, and makes it clear that she will knock some sense into her with a beating. The two begin to battle, and the healer, while watching all this chaos, imagines that Louis is indeed handsome, but believes there are at least 10 more handsome men in the sect, and cannot understand how he managed to enchant Chuling so deeply, because it simply does not make sense in her mind. Xiao Yan tells her to wake up already, and says not to blame her if she does not hold back. The sword lady, not wanting any pointless chatter, instantly destroys all the illusions, and ends up placing her sword against her opponent's neck. She thanks her for the concern, but tells her to shut up. With that, she wins the battle and looks toward the MC, saying that she won, but he is not even paying attention, and everyone starts criticizing him, saying that the guy does not know how to treat a lady with even the slightest delicacy. He steps onto the arena since it is his turn to fight, and his opponent is Gu Qing. The people shout for him to crush the MC without mercy, because they want the cultivation sisters to see just how trash the guy is. Louis finds it strange because he does not remember his opponent's name, and the guy charges forward without even warning him because he wants to teach him a lesson. However, the MC simply uses his Fist of the Gods, sending the lunatic flying out like a dizzy cockroach. The Vice Master finds it incredible that this generation has so many impressive talents, and especially mentions the White Orchid Peak, since he never imagined that the master of that peak would raise such powerful disciples. But he laments that despite their talents, they are too intense, and believes that if the two of them have to face Louis, they probably will not even be able to fight. He looks to the side and notices that even the powerful Chulan has her eyes on the MC and thinks this is too much. He says that if this keeps going, soon the great sect will turn into the sect of the Union of Pleasures. Their next battles are easy, and they manage to win without any difficulty. Soon after, the fight between Louis and Jumin from the peak that seeks the Tao is announced. The man charges his chi and rushes toward the MC, who jumps backward and, with just one punch, destroys the powerful attack as if it were glass. The man falls to the ground in shock and surrenders, since he does not stand the slightest chance. Sometime later, he faces Hongling. The girl says that she already knows she cannot defeat him, so she only asks them to agree not to hit her face. He opens a huge smile and fires his chi straight at her face. She screams because she had just asked him not to do that, and decides to fight seriously, charging her power and unleashing her fearless God Fist technique. He raises his hand and counters with his weakest punch, which is enough to destroy that aura and send the girl flying away. He approaches, and the people start shouting, asking if Louis perhaps does not like women. She makes it clear that she is still not finished, and with the MC's victory, the cultivators wonder if they heard correctly, since Louis is pretty pathetic. But boys who walk around alone also need to protect themselves. Sometime later, it becomes his turn to face Wushuang. The boy says that he corrected his flaws even though it still seems that he cannot compare to him. The MC thinks it is incredible to recognize one's own shame and find the courage to improve because that is the path of cultivation. Wushuang admits that he finds that very reasonable, but is curious about why he is being so ruthless toward the junior sisters. He replies that he does not need to answer that and tells him to attack already. Seeing no other choice, the guy obeys and unleashes all of his chi blades. The MC releases his aura sword and breaks the attack as if it were a toy. Wushuang is frightened by such power, and Louis, making the difference in power clear, asks if he still wants to continue. The guy drives his sword into the ground and admits defeat, since he has no chance of winning. Louis thanks him for the duel, and everyone watching is left stunned. One of the masters says that Louis' teacher is not a sword specialist, and because of that, the boy should be taught by him. Another replies that this is absurd, because he himself should be the one to teach him, since he is much stronger. Lastly, an old man says that he does not feel worthy of teaching him and would even like to speak with his own master about doing it. At this moment, Xulan, who was listening to the conversation, goes up to them and says that Louis is her disciple, and that what everyone is saying is actually rather rude. Everyone apologizes, since they did not mean it that way, but they still want to make a deal, because they can offer many good things in exchange for Louis, since each of them comes from a different peak, and she would love to receive gifts. Xulan replies that no, since the MC will not be handed over to anyone, and there is nothing to negotiate. The MC observes this and finds it strange, because it does not seem right, since he finds it odd that his master is not afraid that he might betray the sect and kill her, because in truth, she should be rushing to kill him at once. At this moment, someone shouts that he will take Lai with him. She looks up and notices a cultivator flying. This is Yangzhe, the venerable of the war sword. Immediately, all the seniors give their greetings. The MC also greets him, surprised that even the supreme elder of the integrated realm has appeared to fight over him. At this moment, another elder appears, saying that, in truth, the MC matches his sword style better. Finally, a third elder appears, because he thinks it is obvious that Louis is actually much more suited to his style. Xulan is intimidated by so many important people appearing, and says that according to the sect's rules, disciples can only be chosen when they first enter, and fighting over him now, just because they saw his talent, is not conduct worthy of elders. Yang Jie points out that she is not even a sword cultivator, and, because of that, wants to know how she intends to teach him anything high level in that style. She retorts that this does not give them the right to steal her MC. He understands her stubbornness, and asks to hear from Louis himself what he wants to do, and, because of that, asks for an answer about whether he is willing to leave the White Orchid Peak to train under a sword cultivator. They become worried since, if he accepts and leaves, it means they will have nothing to do with him from that moment on. The MC thinks this situation is sensational and, without thinking twice, replies that he is obviously willing to leave. The elder bursts into laughter and, since there are no objections, says that he will personally tell the sectmaster so that he can decide on this, and everyone leaves. Hongling, worried about this development, asks her master what they are going to do, and she, furious, makes it clear that as long as she is in that place, no one will take the MC away from her, and since everyone is appealing to the sectmasters, she decides to do the same. The vice leader shouts that the tournament is not over yet, and because of that, they must continue with the fights. It is announced that the semifinal is between Huarong and Chuling, and it will basically be a duel between two beauties. The sword lady asks to make the first move, since she is aware that her victory is certain. Meanwhile, in the great leader's mansion, all the elders are trying to convince the master to let them keep Louis, since they cannot accept seeing someone so promising in such weak hands, and they are even bowing while asking for it. Changfeng asks them to calm down, since it is a mess. All three apologize, and the Grand Master, staring at Xulan, completely changes his expression, happy to see her after an entire year. All three cannot believe the sect master's reaction. Unlike Xulan, who already expected something like that, she gives her greetings, and the old man asks her to call him senior brother, because he does not want her to be so formal. She refuses, since the sect's rules exist for a reason and etiquette must be maintained. Changfeng says that it is fine, since he does not care that much about being called sect master, but he wants to know what she thinks about the discussion. She makes it clear that she will not allow Louis to leave the White Orchid Peak, because that violates the sect's rules and the conduct they have always followed. Xiaoying comments that she is a spell cultivator, and, because of that, should not ruin a disciple's future out of stubbornness. Chulan says that she teaches both spells and swordsmanship, and if the elders continue to underestimate her, then she asks the three of them to face her in a sword duel, and if she wins, Louis will continue staying where he is. The elder says that it is fine, and since he does not want to take advantage of her, he will seal his own cultivation realm to match hers. That way, the fight will be only between swords. But if she loses, she must let the MC decide on his own. She immediately moves and tells him to face her in the skies. He flies after her, since, for the sake of a successor, he does not care about the reputation of intimidating the young. The sectmaster tells Xiao Ying not to hurt the young cultivation sister. She prepares herself, summoning her powerful aura sword, and, at that very instant, the MC's two exes observe this. Since it is the lunar divine sword, the elder is frightened, questioning how she can use that. But Qiulan tells him to be careful and launches her attack without mercy. The old man also summons his sword, deciding not to hold back anymore, and both attacks collide. However, his attack is not strong enough, and the sword breaks, also causing damage to the old man who lost the battle. After that, she tells the next martial elder to approach, and Yang Jie says that it is enough, because what she just demonstrated proves that she has enough ability to teach Louis, and therefore, there is no point in stealing him from her. Kwang agrees with what was said, and she thanks them both. Then she returns to the ground, and the sectmaster asks if everything is fine, and also says he found the sword technique she used strange, since it is not from their sect. Shulan comments that, indeed, it is not from the great sect, and that she managed to use it by chance. The old man, still excited to see the little one, says that he has several rare manuals stored away, and calls her to go to the library to study, since she is so dedicated to the sword. She apologizes, since, in truth, she does not like sword techniques. Meanwhile, in the tournament, the final fight between Chuling and Louis arrives. She smiles in his direction, but soon becomes frightened, since she is feeling something strange, and everyone finds it strange, because he has an extreme murderous intent, and they cannot believe that he really wants to kill her. Everyone starts asking for the sword lady to win, but she falls to her knees and tells him to do what he has to do. The MC does not understand what that means, and the cultivators think it is madness, because they have no idea how much Chuling owes the MC, or if she is 1,000 times more obsessed with him than they thought. He makes it clear that there is no longer anything between them, and since he will not kill her, he only wants her to stay away. She, crying, says that she no longer cares about dying, because all she wants is to stay by his side. The MC slaps her across the face and thinks this sucks, because she is completely insane. It is announced that the fight is over, and the winner is Louis. The vice leader hands over the token and tells him to go to the treasure pavilion to claim the reward. He thanks him for it, but gets startled, because he is feeling a cold aura coming in his direction. He turns around, already imagining what it could be. It was Qiulan, with an extremely powerful aura. Minliu asks how she can defeat someone many levels above her, and says she has the feeling that she has always been hiding this power, then tells her to spit it out already, since they have practically been sisters for a long time. She does not know how to respond, and the girl, embarrassed, comments that she also noticed her master has become even more seductive, and is even afraid of what she has been up to behind her back. Qiulan wonders if that is possible, and realizes that the yin poison of chaos really manifested ahead of time. Minliu touches her, asking if she is okay, and the master, embarrassed, answers that she is and disappears, saying she has something to resolve. The MC finds this sensational, because he saw that his master has the yin poison of chaos, and hopes she can nullify it using her own power. That said, he goes to the treasure pavilion and hands over the item that serves as a pass. The elder explains that the higher he goes, the higher the level of the treasures will be, and he will be able to choose 3 treasures below the 7th floor. Louis comments about the wood spirit pearl, the key to the divine cemetery mountain, and a 9 dragons treasure furnace, and basically, these are his choices. He is startled since the pearl and the key are indeed good items, but he does not know about the 9 dragons treasure. He tells him not to worry since it has wonderful uses. He takes all the brand new items and starts announcing in the street, trading them for a yin soul fruit, and continues advertising to obtain the item. He goes up to a veteran and asks him, please, to wait, since with a single soul fruit, he will gain the 9 dragons treasure furnace. The man tells him to get out of the way since he has no interest in it, and the MC gets worried because it seems like he will not be able to sell this item until he has a great idea and shouts to everyone that that furnace can refine all kinds of pills, strengthening the body and improving health. And not only that, but it also increases a man's virility. Instantly, this catches the guy's attention. and they ask what exactly he wants in exchange for the item. He answers that he only wants a soul fruit, and one of them makes the trade right away, since he has that item. Meanwhile, at the main gate, Chuling remains waiting, holding a bundle, until she spots Louis coming down the stairs and says she prepared his favorite bean buns. But the MC walks right past her, ignoring her, summons his celestial sword, and flies away, since now he has 3 treasures in hand and can finally descend the mountain to settle some accounts. At this moment, he looks down after hearing shouting and notices that Chuling is still insisting that he wait, but he only calls her crazy and disappears with his absurd speed. At the same time, in Chulan's dormitory, she continues meditating to fight the poison, and her friend, outside, is restless because she has no idea what her master is hiding or why icy air started coming out of nowhere. At this moment, Hong Ling appears, asking if the master's lunar poison is attacking, since it should not be this soon. Min Liu admits that she does not know about this poison and asks if she could explain. The Empress says that the lunar poison is caused by Qulan's constitution and can accumulate endlessly, condensing into liquid form, producing extreme cold and agonizing pain. But the strange thing is that the lunar poison should not attack before the Tao integration realm. Qulan finds it strange, because even while using the Holy Sutra of lunar transformation, she still cannot completely dissipate this poison like in her past life, and wonders whether, by any chance, the reason is that she is unable to free herself from her dependence on the MC. While the 2 girls wait outside, Qulan finally manages to free herself from the poison. At this moment, the healer enters and congratulates her junior sister for reaching the integration realm, but she is still worried and asks if she is feeling well. She answers that she is, and the girl notices that a cold energy has invaded her master's body because her chi and blood are weak, and even after reaching the integration realm, her body is in this state, so she should not be fine. She tells her not to worry, since it is only a small problem, and asks where Louis is. Hong Ling says that he disappeared after taking first place and believes he went out to gain experience in the sect. They guess that perhaps he went to the Divine Cemetery Mountain, and Min Liu finds it very strange that the 2 of them know exactly where the MC went, while she herself does not even know of that place's existence. Immediately, the 2 fly off, since they need to find Louis. Min Liu shouts that she considered her master her best friend, and even so, she is treating this with indifference, and all she wants to know is what they are hiding. Chulan answers that they were just discussing whether the girl should accompany them or not, and she answers that obviously she wants to go, besides asking Hong Ling if she is hiding something, since she is quite distracted. She, embarrassed, says that she is only thinking about how long they will take to arrive, and begins to reflect that she made a terrible mistake with the MC, and all she wants is for he to be well. They finally arrive at the entrance to the mountain, and notice that Chuling is outside, sitting, and ask where the young master is. She gives her greetings to all of them, calling them sisters, and once again, Min Liu finds it strange for a disciple to call a master sister, and is certain that something absurd is going on between them. The sword lady says that the MC entered the cemetery mountain, and that all she is doing is waiting. Hong Ling says she has a bad feeling and asks them to go in. The girl finds this concern for Louis strange, and she whispers that she did exactly what her friend also did to the MC. This startles her to the point of asking if she also poisoned him, and what poison she used. The Empress answers that she used the primordial morning mist. Knowing the danger, Chuling asks them to go in quickly, since they need to see how the young master is doing. The healer follows them, and finds it strange, since she has never heard of this type of poison, and so she asks what the hell that monster they found dead on the way is. Chuling tells her not to worry, since it is a cadaveric beetle and there is no danger, because it was killed by Louis. She continues finding it strange, because one can see that the beetles are in the nascent soul realm, and Louis is only at the core formation stage, which is absurdly lower in level, and even so, no one is finding that strange. Chuling says that the formation inside has already been destroyed by Louis, so they can enter without problems. Inside, he continues meditating, and Chuling remains worried. Hong Ling feels relieved to see that the primordial morning mist has not erupted yet, but they notice that the MC is putting an absurd amount of effort into his concentration. She panics, since this means that, in truth, the primordial morning mist has returned inside his body, and Chuling runs to try to help, but the MC, extremely furious, tells her to get the hell out of his way. Hong Ling tries to warn him that this is the primordial morning mist, and that he will not be able to resist it, so she asks him to let the master help, because she can use lunar power to freeze him temporarily. Louis, even more irritated with them, tells them to leave at once. Chuling draws her sword and shouts that the young master ordered all of them to leave, but she will stay on guard for him, and, crying, only asks all of them to obey. The two obey, since there is not much they can do, as he does not want help, and, apparently, does not even need it. However, after they move a little farther away, a huge explosion comes from inside the cave, and Qulan shouts for him, since the tunnel of the underground palace has been destroyed. Hongling panics, since she ended up killing Louis again, and her master tells her to calm down, because everything is fine. Using her magic, she puts the girl to sleep and, while holding her, starts imagining how much pain the MC must be enduring. Chuling suggests that they go inside to take a look, but Qulan asks them to wait a little longer. 2 hours later, a terrifying aura comes out from inside the cave, indicating that Louis has advanced to the nascent soul. Chulan decides to go in to see what is happening, and notices the MC sitting on the ground, releasing that incredible energy. Seeing this, she asks how he is feeling, and he, sweating a lot, replies that he is fine, but questions what kind of poison she put inside him. Her master says that the poison is called the lunar marrow worm, and, before she can finish speaking, the MC tells her to stop, because every time he tries to advance, a new poison appears. And because of that, he asks what number she was in the line of people waiting to poison him. She does not really know how to answer that, and he gets up, since he does not want to know anything else. As he leaves, he says that, apparently, she has advanced to the Dao integration realm, and mentions that, from the looks of it, the yin poison of chaos has already begun to condense inside her. Qulan is startled that he knows this, and the MC, with a smile, says that she must know that kind of pain very well, then leaves, leaving the woman frightened. Sometime later, Hongling shouts, wanting to know how Louis is, and her master tells her not to worry, since he is fine. She asks if that is serious, and if 7 days have passed, since the primordial morning mist takes 7 days to dissipate. Qulan says that, in truth, only 1 day has passed, but judging by how calm Louis was, she believes he really is fine. Then, she tells her to forget about it, since, in half a year, the ancient battlefield of celestial pride will open, and she will be able to meet Wuxi, whom she wanted to see so much. Hongling remembers that this guy exists, and cannot believe she almost forgot about him. However, she refuses, since she is going to stay by the MC's side to take care of him. Chulan laments, since, from the looks of it, the girl has fallen in love with Louis once again in this new life. The two ex-wives meet, and Hongling says that she will also stay to take care of Louis, and tries to speak to him through the door, wishing him well, until she falls asleep together with her friend. The MC, meditating inside, feels that it has finally begun, and, with the power in his hands, says that he did not expect the primordial morning mist to be so effective, since he was actually able to refine it inside his nascent soul. The infant soul gives him the finger, and the MC finds it hilarious, because it is not just a sacred infant soul, but a gigantic, holy infant soul. He is determined that, in this life, he will leave all of them behind and wants to see the despair they will all fall into when that time comes. Sometime later, it is announced that there will be a meeting in the pavilion, and all disciples of the current generation must attend. The MC finds it strange, since he does not know what is happening. His system asks if he has forgotten, since the ancient battlefield of celestial pride is about to open. He finally understands what it is about, because in his past life, he was only at the 6th layer when he entered that field, and in this new life, he is already at the nascent soul and will definitely achieve great things. So, at that very moment, he runs toward the pavilion. At the location, several cultivators are already gathered, and the elder announces that the proud ancestral battlefield has become unstable and will soon open in the Valley of the 9 Dragons. This battlefield opens once every 1,000 years, and the resources inside are absurd, and anyone under 100 years old can enter. Chuling approaches him and asks if he is also going to enter. He does not answer anything, and the elder continues explaining that the inside is full of dangers and massacres, and ancient spirits wander there, as well as geniuses from the demonic races. The other sects are always killing and stealing treasures inside, and everyone must be careful. Hongling looks in Louis' direction, thinks of Wuxi, and wonders if they will fight side by side again. The flying ship arrives at the location, and the MC flies confidently, since it is about to begin. Meanwhile, Chuling keeps shouting for him to wait. At the same time, in the demonic realm, the leader comments that the ancient battlefield of celestial pride has finally opened, and that they have waited a long time for this day. Because of this, he gives an order to everyone, since they must kill the geniuses of the righteous path, as they need to tremble beneath the feet of the demons. The commander celebrates, since he needs the vital essence of the most powerful geniuses of the human race, and, for that reason, says that he will give the supreme demonic arts as a reward to whoever brings those cultivators. All the demons shout excitedly. A bird, flying over the place, reflects that, in that life, it will kill the demon emperor of all spirits and bring peace to the monster race. Back on the boat, the MC continues observing the surroundings, and Wu Shuang asks if, by any chance, he knows which factions the 9 great powers of the Great Wilderness refer to, since there is a cult known as the Eternal Wangu cult, and 3 known dynasties, such as the Central, the Celestial of the 9 Li, and the Supreme Imperial. The MC does not want to hear about this conversation, but he continues, since Hong Ling is nearby, and he wants to find a way to impress her. He explains about the various existing sects, since in that world there are countless of them, including the Great Tao. The girl shows no interest at all, but he insists anyway, since he has a lot to talk about. At this moment, Chuling comments that they are almost arriving, until finally all the ships from each sect approach the designated location. The elders are watching the ships arrive, the first being from the Dharma sect, and they know that this pavilion has excellent warriors. They soon notice Luo Yuan and Yang Wufa, which is impressive, since they sent the Holy Sun and the Holy Maiden so quickly, and they speculate whether the two have become companions. Although it is possible, since it is the sect's tradition, no one could resist that girl's temptation. Then, the Supreme Sword Sect also arrives. The cultivators immediately think this is a pain, because they are very strong, and their own swords are almost breaking from self-deprecation, since, among all the sword cultivators in the world, those are the strongest. At this moment, they point upward, since the Great Tao sect has finally arrived, and they find them extremely elegant. The MC descends accompanied by the beautiful girls, and Yang Wufa immediately starts acting like a simp toward Huarong, giving his greetings and introducing himself as the Holy Son of the Dharma sect. She greets him back, since he is someone very important. Then he looks to the side and asks who the 2 beautiful fairies are. However, the Silk Empress, without patience, simply tells him to get lost. He realizes he was ignored and simply leaves. The MC, who is watching, finds it funny, since in his past life he crushed that guy's head, and it was not unfair. Then he flies away, leaving Chuling confused about where he is going. He reaches the mountain peak and begins to meditate. Some cultivators, watching this scene, become outraged, because a guy has just arrived at the ancestral battlefield and stopped to cultivate. They think it is a pity that the 2 beauties have no taste, especially because they have no idea what use last-minute cultivation could have. Other cultivators tell them not to waste time looking in the wrong direction, and point out that the 3rd prince of the dynasty, whose name is Shangguang, has arrived accompanied by his beautiful sister, Huan Ling. They expected nothing less, since their temperament is noble and extraordinary, and apparently all the geniuses are present. The MC notices her presence, just as the girl also notices his presence, and does not understand what happened to Chuling and Hongling since they are with him, and as far as she knows, all of them, including herself, should be hating Louis to death. The prince comments that the 2 girls beside the MC are really beautiful, but his sister tells him to forget it, since he is no match for him. Shangguang finds this hilarious and asks if she is trying to provoke him, because as soon as they enter the celestial battlefield, the MC will be his first target. The girl guarantees that if he does that, he will die, and he says that it is fine, since if he is going to die, then he will simply die. She laughs at this outcome, because apparently, she will use Lu's hands to get rid of her trash brother. One day later, the event finally begins. Since everyone has finally arrived, they shout that the passage has been opened and that they can now enter the battlefield. The MC flies without thinking twice. Chuling shouts for him to wait, and the other cultivators tell everyone to hurry, since they cannot let a brat from the Great Tao sect get ahead. Yang Wufa finds this unacceptable and flies after him, until the 2 finally land on the ground already inside. Louis questions whether his schizophrenia has acted up again, and the excited boy asks how he knew that. The MC tells him to relax, because he will make sure that does not happen again. Yang Wufa launches his first attack, guaranteeing that he will kill him so everything can return to normal. But Louis, with only his fist, destroys the attack as if it were nothing. Yang Wufa admits that his opponent is skilled and uses his divine ability, Light of Annihilation. He prepares to defend and says that as far as he knows, this is everything he has. This time, he destroys the attack with his flaming fist, which leaves the guy completely terrified, not knowing how this is possible. Furthermore, the attack keeps going and hits Yang Wufa directly, taking his life with just that one attack. The MC says that, in this life, this guy is even more pathetic and announces that he will take his storage ring. Then he leaves, because it is time to recover his sword. Sometime later, several cultivators arrive where the body is and simply cannot believe that the Holy Son was killed by someone or by some monster. They do not understand how this is possible, since the guy is the Holy Son of the Dharma sect. Outside, the soul bloodstone breaks, and the elders immediately realize that it was the Holy Son who lost his life and cannot believe this absurdity, since it happened far too quickly. Luo Yuan finds this unbelievable and flies inside because she needs to take a look at whoever killed a saint so quickly. And the cultivators who are still outside find it funny, since they had barely entered the celestial battlefield and the Holy Son had already been killed, and they believe that in this way, the sect will completely lose its dignity. The prince, who is still outside, realizes that this day will be more fun than he imagined and flies without thinking twice toward the portal. Huanling thinks this is amazing because there is still a jaw-dropping surprise waiting for her brother. Inside, the MC finally reaches the place of the swords and says that, ever since his sword disappeared, he has not used any other weapon. He continues walking, and several celestial swords head toward him, but he deflects them all and tells them to attack all at once. The swords come to life and go in different directions, but he does not want to waste time, and, with a wave of his finger, deflects all of them with extreme ease. Then he advances toward his beloved sword, since he has missed it all these years. He grabs it in his hand and finds something strange. The sword asks what nonsense he is talking about and what kind of barking that is. Since he is speaking with an incredibly arrogant tone, the MC finds it incredible that the sword spirit is reacting like this, until he remembers that, in truth, the stone sword has not yet revealed its cowardly side and tells it to follow him to become the strongest sword in heaven and earth. He states that it will be stronger than the sword of 3 lives, stronger than the ancestral sword, stronger than the supreme sword, and stronger than the invincible sword. After pulling it out of the ground, he asks if it wants to be stronger than all of them. The sword spirit immediately answers yes, and they make a deal. The MC says that from this moment on, its name will be Stone Sword, and its nickname will simply be Pebble. The sword rejects this name, since it wants a decent name. However, Louis realizes that he liked that name quite a lot, but once again, the sword disagrees, since Pebble and Stone Sword are horrible names, and makes it clear that it does not want any of those names. At this moment, Chilling appears and congratulates him for recovering the stone sword. Once again, the sword becomes furious, telling them not to call it by that name, and hides, since it is afraid of the dark. He celebrates, since the stone sword has been recovered, and the girl keeps calling out to him. Louis goes to the edge of the cliff and jumps, since it is time to return to the first layer of the battlefield to look for the other treasures. The first layer of the battlefield has supreme clear waters. Diving into them can improve aptitude, and they say there is a supreme clear water pearl at the bottom, which is why the water is so crystalline. Hongling is diving in this lake, remembering that it was Louis who found the pearl and gave that treasure to her in her past life, so she decides that she will find it by herself. The cultivators keep trying to go deeper, but Juman complains that they are already 2,000 meters deep and he cannot take it anymore. The other one also gets worried because he will not make it and needs to retreat. Shang Guang keeps descending and calls out to Hongling, since the journey is long and he does not even know her name, so he introduces himself as the Prince of the Supreme Imperial Dynasty. She replies that she knows who he is, since he is Huanling's brother. He is surprised that she knows his sister and asks if she is also from the dynasty, since that way they can talk more privately when they return. She laughs at this and says that it depends only on him, such as how far he can dive. The prince replies that another 1,000 meters is easy. He says this and rushes out at high speed to show what he is capable of. She finds this interesting and launches her divine palm. The prince is startled and counterattacks with the heaven-cutting halberd. Then, she activates the fearless seal and launches it toward him, sending him back upward. The guy screams desperately, trying to understand what kind of attack that is, and how he found such a powerful random woman. She tells him to be good and go back up, then decides to return to her search, since she does not want anyone getting in her way. After reaching almost 3,000 meters deep, she tries to remember, since as far as she knows, it should be somewhere around that area, but she cannot find it, and worries that Louis lied in the past about the location. After reaching 5,000 meters, she tries to understand why her former husband would have lied, and considers that maybe he did not want her to know how much he suffered to recover this pearl. Sometime later, she realizes that she has finally found it, and, holding the treasure in her hand, imagines that she can fuse it with her body, recovering her status immediately, as well as increasing her aptitude. Only then does she realize something, because Louis went through all of this back then, when he was weaker And even in the face of such a temptation, he suppressed his own survival instincts and did not fuse with the pearl so he could give it to her. This gesture moves her, since she never imagined that of him in her past life. She finally understands that the MC was too good to her and knows that no one treated her better than he did. Not even Wuxi could. However, she knows that this is not love, since only when she is with Wuxi does her heart race and her body heat up. She is determined that, as long as he allows her to stay with Wuxi, she will accept any other request from him, even if it means dying. She thinks this and uses the pearl on herself. Sometime later, she comes out of the lake and realizes that she has finally advanced to the nascent soul realm. At this moment, Shang Guang appears, saying that he waited for a long time, since their fight in the water was not enough, and so he asks for another round. She warns that he was not able to win in the water, so on land it will be worse. He attacks anyway, since there is only one way to find out. She once again uses her fearless god's fist and knocks the guy far away. Then she asks if that is enough, since she wants to leave. He cannot understand how this is possible, since the force of that punch is several times greater than when he received it in the water. Meanwhile, on the first layer of the battlefield, in the Valley of 100 Herbs, the MC arrives and knows that this valley was once the garden of a powerful sect, although that does not matter. What really matters is that there are several unique arrays hidden there. He knows that to consolidate his second life, he will need to obtain the golden sunflower. He jumps, since it was exactly the same in his past life, and notices that someone is breaking the array extremely fast. He sees the guy and wonders how he never noticed such a talented array master before, since normally someone like that would not go unnoticed, and this can only mean that the guy died before reaching his full potential. He runs over, since he wants to help, and the cultivator, upon seeing him, asks if he is a human or a ghost. Louis finds this funny and asks if he does not look like a human. Li Wai apologizes, since from what he saw, the MC draws more attention than everyone else. The MC thinks it is an excellent bit of flattery and asks him to introduce himself. He introduces himself as Li Huai, and the MC says that he will remember, then asks him to keep breaking the arrays, even reaching the point of feeling their structure with his heart. He says this, and begins changing the entire structure of that array. This leaves Li Huai speechless, since he did not even believe something like that was possible, and, now that he finally understands, he notes that the weak only think about how to break an array. The strong, however, change the array and use it to their advantage. The MC finally captures the sunflower he wanted and then leaves, telling him to enjoy what he was doing. Before that, Li Huai shouts, asking his name, but without getting an answer, he gets startled, since the array has been completely altered and several completely sinister guys appear in the form of illusions. The boy cannot understand why the hell these illusions appeared out of nowhere, and, sweating cold, asks if he could not have at least created the illusion of 8 beautiful girls. Meanwhile, at the Heavenly Spirit Pool, Louis arrives at the place, and a completely injured cultivator asks for help. A demon comes flying in, saying that the two of them will die, but the MC, without much patience, looks up and launches his attack. Then he notices that more demons are approaching, but since he is not in the mood to play around, he finishes them all off in the blink of an eye with his stone sword. The cultivator introduces himself as Jiliang and thanks him for saving him, guaranteeing that he will repay this debt in the future. But the MC replies that there is no need for that. He walks a little and notices that the war has already begun, since there are countless dead cultivators and demons. At this moment, 2 guys appear running, shouting for them to flee, since the demonic race has taken the Heavenly Spirit Pool and killed many people. To resist the demons, monsters, and ghosts, the humans decided to form an alliance, since together they will be able to face this great enemy. The MC questions who authorized this alliance. They, running as if there were no tomorrow, answer that it was Hongling, since she took the lead with enormous power, but tell him to leave, since the place is not safe. The MC tells them to take care, because he wants to take a look at that pool, and realizes that Hongling was responsible, so now it makes sense that things changed. Sometime later, at the Celestial Spirit Pool, he arrives walking calmly, and one of the monsters finds this interesting, since it did not imagine that there was a human bold enough to approach alone, and asks if he really believes he can finish them all off. This leopard-shaped monster comes out of the pool and shouts for its servants to prepare. The werewolves celebrate, since they want to see all the humans begging for mercy, and the captain shouts that he will do it immediately, until he realizes that his body is being cut into pieces without even having time to react. Louis asks if, by any chance, they have never heard that villains die because they talk too much. The other monsters run to avenge their dead brother, but it is completely useless, since they are all finished off instantly with a single attack. This time, a bird tries to attack from above, but Louis sees the attack approaching and, with his sword, launches several attacks into the sky, killing the monster with extreme ease. Then, he looks to the side. Since there are still 2 idiots left, the monsters immediately fall to their knees, asking him to spare them, since they are willing to serve as mounts. The MC finds this funny and launches another attack, since it will be the last one, and whether they live or die depends only on their fate. After that, he enters the pool, since everything has finally gone silent. Meanwhile, a soldier runs to report to the Centipede King, since the situation is bad after the appearance of a powerful human. The monster explains that this cultivator annihilated almost all the demons in the spiritual pool by himself, and begs him to avenge the demon brothers. The king asks if the guy is really that terrifying. The demon answers yes, since he witnessed several soldiers being killed with a single sword attack and found it extremely terrifying. The king finds this pathetic and traps the demon in several bindings. He says that this is what is terrifying and that they must not forget the main objective. His priority is to hunt Wuxi, and nothing is more important than that. Another servant appears at that moment, saying that they have located Wuxi. The Centipede King finds this excellent and orders them to proceed with this guy's execution. He guarantees that he will make the Phoenix clan disappear completely from this world. Meanwhile, on the ancient battlefield of Celestial Pride, Hongling is standing before all the cultivators. She imagines that their numbers are sufficient and believes that what the MC did in his past life, she did before him in this current life. She announces that the fortress has been successfully established, and because of that, she is leaving. The cultivators do not understand where she is going, and she says that she is going in search of true love and says goodbye. At the same time, in another place, Wuxi asks the Celestial Centipede why all of this is happening, since all of them are from the demon race and should not have any enmity. But even so, she is insisting on killing him. The king makes it clear that it is survival of the fittest, natural selection, and that, if he had to explain it every time he kills trash, it would be tedious. Wuxi questions what kind of ability this is, intimidating with numbers, and, if he has the courage, challenges him to a one-on-one duel. The king tells him to stop being pathetic and asks if, by any chance, he should fight without even using his legs, and whether that would be fair to him. Wuxi thinks this is awful and is determined to become stronger to exterminate this horrible race. Suddenly, he looks back as someone screams for help. It was Hongling, begging for someone to save her. He is amazed, since he thought she was incredibly beautiful. And, after the girl passes nearby, she realizes that she has finally found him, and that throughout all these years since his death, he has always been in her heart. However, the guy apologizes, since he cannot help, because he is too busy trying to save his own skin. The Centipede King calls out to the demon brothers, saying that the demon race does not intend to be enemies with one another, and therefore asks them to join forces to kill the thieves. They accept this, and Wuxi asks what she did to have so many demons chasing her. Hongling imagines that if it were not to recreate the moment when she met him in her past life, those demons would not even be a threat. Wuxi steps in front and says that the demons are horrible and are probably jealous of her beauty, which is why they started hunting her. She thinks that this narcissism reminds her a lot of Louis, until she realizes that she has no idea why she is thinking about the MC at a time like this. Meanwhile, Louis continues calmly in the pool, since the cultivation effect of the celestial spirit is even better than he imagined, and, in just 3 days, he reached the 6th layer of the nascent soul realm. At this moment, a man approaches saying that this place has a karmic connection with their sect, and therefore asks him to find another place to cultivate. The MC realizes that apparently the people from the wisdom sect have arrived, and answers that he is cultivating peacefully without bothering anyone from the sect. And, since none of them is a match for him in a fight, he asks them not to provoke him. The bald man says again that this pool shines with Buddha's light and was born from a relic, and therefore asks him, please, to find another place to cultivate. Louis asks if they are really determined to expel him, and the various cultivators from that sect answer that they will have to do something about it. The MC thinks this is a pity, and with a flick of his finger, launches his sword, which cuts off the heads of all the monks in that place, and says that he did it only because they were too noisy. Back on the battlefield, Wuxi asks if she knows of any safe place. She asks him to look for the MC, since, to him, those demons are nothing but trash. Wuxi asks if this cultivator is really that strong. She changes direction and answers that obviously he is, since the guy is invincible among everyone of the same generation. He asks her to tell that senior that he is a good demon and does not harm anyone. He guarantees that he has never eaten humans and, because of that, only wants him to go easy on him. She tells him to relax, since her senior does not go around killing innocents, but wants to know how he will shake off the demons first. And he answers that he can do it, but wants her to promise that she will take him along after he uses his attack. She says that it is fine after all. If she were not going to take him, she would not be going through all this trouble. He then stops to use his technique and releases a giant fire phoenix, which leaves all the demons frightened, since they did not imagine that the target was so powerful. The attack creates a barrier that prevents the demons from continuing, and he falls powerless onto her chest. She calls him by name, and Wuxi is confused, since he never introduced himself. She says that she has heard of him, but he finds it strange, since he has never heard of her before. Hongling says that this is not the time for that, since they need to find the MC first. After walking for a long time, he asks where her senior is, since he has not appeared until now, and she, trying to hide it, answers that, in truth, she got lost. He laughs and says not to blame herself, since someone so beautiful can make mistakes. She becomes extremely embarrassed by this and says that there is a deep valley just ahead, and they can hide there for a while. After they arrive, he says that he will protect the entrance, and she says that as soon as he recovers his strength, they will be able to continue. At this moment, the Centipede King appears, guaranteeing that they will not escape anywhere anymore, but Hongling, not wanting anyone's interference, throws a punch that sends the Demon King flying like a headless chicken. Wuxi simply cannot believe what is happening and wonders why they were running away if she is that powerful. The monsters shout for them to kill the two of them. Hongling starts beating all of them up, and the Centipede King orders them to continue, since he is going to make her waste energy as they have greater numbers. However, to her, it feels like child's play, as she can kick them all without any problem. Wuxi cannot believe how strong she is, and wonders why she does not finish off the demons all at once. That is because the Silk Empress cannot stop remembering that, in her past life, when her strength ran out, he appeared in front of her to save her, and she keeps imagining whether this story will repeat itself. Thinking about that, she deliberately takes a hit and falls into his arms. He says that he will join the fight, and that all she needs to do is recover her strength. She finds it strange, since even in his arms, her heart does not race like before. Wuxi stands before the demons and starts defending against the attacks, coming under more and more pressure, since he is not that strong. He backs away, saying that he can still endure it, but she, with no patience, gives him a chop to the neck, making him pass out instantly. Hongling becomes worried about whether she will ever recover the feeling from before, and there is no point in continuing. Tianwu approaches and tells her to hand over the guy already, since the demonic race will not get involved in her problems. She tells him to shut up and strikes with her divine palm, wiping out practically all the monsters. However, the Centipede King has still not been defeated and says that he will fight to the death, but she sees no problem with that and delivers a punch powerful enough to send the creature flying, making it clear that it was for Wuxi. The demon does not understand why the hell that group of demons was chasing her when she is so powerful. Meanwhile, at the spring, more cultivators arrive at the place and shout, asking if it was MC who killed everyone. He says that his meditation was interrupted, and because of that, they all deserve to die. The little bald guy, furious, asks if he really massacred everyone just because they interrupted his meditation, and says that he does not see much difference between him and a demon. Immediately, everyone forms the formation of the 18 Arhats that subdue demons, and Louis, already showing that he has no patience, completely blows up the place, finishing all of them off. One of the cultivators survives and runs away like a madman. MC takes a deep breath and simply returns to the hot spring, since he only wanted peace, and, without even realizing it, reached the 7th layer of the nascent soul. Back to Hongling, she lights a campfire and reflects that it was so difficult to be alone with Wuxi, and she does not understand why everything feels strange. He finally wakes up, asking if he died, and she answers that he did not, since he is alive and well. He asks how they managed to escape and what happened to the demons. The Empress answers that her senior appeared, killed them all, and that was how they managed to escape. He gets excited about that, since the guy left and the two of them were completely alone, but she stands up, telling him to forget about it, and says goodbye, since she is leaving too. The next day, Wuxi sees that he has a conch shell and believes it is meant for communicating with Hongling, so he begins to wonder whether the girl likes him. He contacts her, and she says that she is in the middle of cultivating and therefore has no time to talk. He asks to join her, but the girl refuses, saying that he has neither power nor influence and should focus on observing other cultivators. He feels upset, but he knows that he must join her at any cost, so he insists, saying that they could protect each other. However, he receives no further response and no longer knows whether the girl truly likes him or not. At that moment, someone appears and calls him useless, saying that a worm is claiming that the number one human likes him. It is the little Dragon King. Wuxi becomes frightened when he sees who it is and asks what they are planning to do since he is being surrounded. They go somewhere else? And Max asks what exactly his relationship with Hongling is. He replies that they are good friends, and the Dragon King asks whether they have ever done anything together. He says no and gets slapped across the face for still daring to claim that she likes him. Wuxi cannot believe what he is going through, since he held no grudge or hostility toward this race, and everything that is happening is her fault. Because of that, he says that he can help, since that girl is a mortal enemy of the demon race, and as long as they do not kill him, he can help lure her there. With that said, they use the communicator, and Wuxi reports that he has been severely injured. She asks where he is at that moment, and he becomes excited because she finally replied, then says that he is at Flying Thunder Mountain. That location causes Hongling to recall memories from her past life. When she was tied to her bed, the MC had arrived and without hesitation, said that Wuxi was dead and that not even his bones remained. She cries in anger, saying that it was all his fault, because if he had not stopped her from saving him, none of this would have happened. He tells her to shut up, explaining that it was a trap meant to lure her there and lead her to her death. Hongling says that this is a lie and that in truth, he only wanted to let Wuxi die on purpose, while he simply walks away and apologizes. After remembering all of this, she reflects that the MC said that in her past life, that information had been a trap, and this time, she will prevent it from happening. Because of that, she announces that she will be leaving for a while, and that, from now on, her two subordinates are responsible for not attacking the humans. Her servant does not like this, since they are at the height of their attacks, and now, she wants them to simply stop attacking. She says yes, explaining that they should only collect the treasures, and that attacking blindly without increasing their own strength will only cause them to lose more people. He asks to go with her so that they can explore the area more effectively, but she refuses because she is not going there to fight. As she leaves, she says that if they end up in a desperate situation, they should go to the Heavenly Spirit Pool and ask her senior to help them escape the crisis. He is surprised because she spoke with such confidence that he begins to wonder whether that man is truly so powerful. At that moment, the system catches Lou's attention, saying that it is time to watch the show, but he tells it to watch by itself because he still needs to cultivate. Kronos tells him not to say that, because watching alone is no fun, and asks him to watch together. He sees no fun in it, saying that it is merely a cliché story about dying for love, and that there is nothing interesting about it. The system shows him Hongling and asks him to guess whether the female lead has any chance of escaping unharmed. He considers every possibility that could occur at Flying Thunder Mountain, and says that unless something unexpected happens, she may be unable to escape. Sometime later, she arrives at the location and uses her communicator to ask where he is. She has barely spoken when a monster appears and attacks her from behind, ordering the others to throw her inside. The attack approaches her, but she easily repels it with the Mountain Impact Seal, sending the monster flying. However, that was only a distraction, because when she looks up, she sees numerous high-level formations being created to trap her. Hongling is shocked by what is happening, while the monsters laugh from a distance because someone so powerful fell for something so foolish. One of the wolves even says that he is far fiercer than Wuxi, and that she should look at him differently. At that moment, the monster is slapped by the Dragon King, who tells him to shut up unless he wants to die. Hongling cannot understand how this happened, or whether there truly was a trap on that mountain, just as she had been warned in her past life. Back then, the MC had made it perfectly clear that if she tried to save Wuxi, she would fall into the hands of the demons. She cannot understand how it could be a trap, especially since the demons do not know about her relationship with Wuxi. The MC refuses to discuss it, saying that she is not going and that his decision is final. She claims that he is merely jealous and even threatens to kill herself if he tries to stop her, but he simply strikes her neck and knocks her unconscious. After doing so, he says that he will go in her place. Back in the present, Max asks whether she wants to see Wuxi and reveals the man in a completely battered state. She asks how this happened, and the Dragon King tells her not to misunderstand, because he did not beat him until he ended up in that condition. In truth, the man offered to help kill her, and the Dragon King despises that kind of person, so only then did he beat him. She asks whether that is true, and he confirms it, saying that even though he is a monster, he still needs to have principles. Wuxi blames everything on her, saying that she was powerful and still refused to let him remain by her side. She does not know what to say, and he accuses her of being nothing more and nothing less than a vulgar woman. Hongling makes it clear that they are not to kill him, because she wants to settle this herself, and after breaking the trap, she orders everyone to attack her at once. The MC, watching the broadcast, says that she is improving very quickly through constant battles. Although this method is not very efficient, Kronos finds it absurd that he still has the patience to criticize her training, and points out that he should notice that the girl discovered the truth but did not break down crying like Chuling. He believes the reason is simple, because this girl has not fallen into true despair, and tells Kronos to stop talking nonsense because he is about to reach the 9th layer of the nascent soul realm. Meanwhile, on Flying Thunder Mountain, Hongling is extremely exhausted because she has been forced to kill one monster after another. The Dragon King's servant insists that if the girl is not eliminated, she will continue growing and may eventually become a disaster for all the tribes. Max knows this, because the human race always flourishes, and that is inevitable. Because of that, he orders them to intensify the offensive and give her no chance to breathe. With that said, a powerful bolt of lightning strikes her body with enough force to make her collapse into a sitting position. The demons take advantage of the opening to attack, but she continues resisting at all costs, despite being completely exhausted. She even tells them to launch the next attack already. The Dragon King shouts that it is time for his people to attack, and an overwhelming power begins to gather. Hongling simply cannot believe how the MC managed to carve a path through battle in her past life. In her past life, the MC had returned from that nightmare, and, despite being severely injured, smiled because he had made it back alive. Now, in the present, the attack strikes the ground with such force that it sends her flying. Hongling begins to cry just from imagining how the MC advanced without hesitation back then, even though he knew it was a trap. The Dragon King is not playing around, and with his flaming fist, he lands a direct blow that sends the girl crashing into the mountain. The demon then laughs, saying that the number 1 human will die by his hands. He says this and launches his killing attack, but Hongling asks whether this is some kind of joke, because trash like him could never have the ability to kill her. Her movement is so fast that she grabs the demon's head and blows it apart with the star-shattering seal. Max sees that the situation has become complicated and attacks without giving her time to think. She takes the blow directly and falls flat on the ground, completely drained of strength. The Dragon King admits that he did not expect the number 1 human to be so foolish, then lifts her up so that he can deliver the final blow and leaves her with a lesson to never believe in love again in her next life. Hongling laughs, saying that it is not his place to say that, and because she had prepared a trap of her own, she executes her cutting arm technique, which also blows apart her target's head. She falls to her knees, lamenting, because the MC also went through this in his previous life, and she did not even give him a chance to explain himself. The demons do not understand why she is crying. Meanwhile, the system informs the MC that she might be able to escape alive, but he does not think there is any chance of that happening. However, he is startled when he looks up and sees a red bird. He has no idea how that thing is in the sky, because he is certain that it did not exist in his previous life. The remaining demons take advantage of the perfect opportunity to finish her off, since she is exhausted, until the red bird appears on top of the mountain and, with its colossal attacks, rains fireballs down on all the monsters that remain. The demoness says she did not want to interfere, but since Hongling was crying so miserably, she could not hold herself back. One of the monsters asks how she dares betray the demon race. She tells a mere slave to keep his mouth shut, and with absurd speed, cuts him in half. She asks Hongling to hold on a little longer, because if she drinks her blood, it will be enough to keep her alive. Hongling finally understands that the MC sacrificed one of his lives in order to escape. The demons start shouting again that Hongling is the number 1 enemy of the demon race. Mira asks whether she is ready. Hongling says she is, and the two of them immediately flee the area while all the monsters are killed by one final attack. As they leave at an absurd speed, the demons wonder whether Mira is now working with the humans and curse their bad luck, because they were extremely close to killing Hongling. The girl asks where they are going, and the Empress tells her to head to the Celestial Spirit Pool. Sometime later, while the MC is meditating, the 2 girls arrive, and Hongling immediately apologizes for being wrong. However, something also catches Mira's attention, because she recognizes Louis instantly. In the previous life, the demons were chasing her under the Demon Emperor's orders until she no longer had the strength to run, and the MC appeared, saying that the little bird lying on the ground would become his new pet. The demons ordered him to hand over the traitor, or else his corpse would not remain intact. He found it amusing that mere trash dared to make demands of him and drew his sword, because he was there precisely to massacre all of them. Mira asked him not to kill them because they were being used by Demon Emperor Wanling. He did not care, because every demon standing before him could become another Demon Emperor in the future. Therefore, he charged forward without hesitation, because otherwise the human race would never know peace. She shouted for him not to do it, but it was already too late, because in the blink of an eye, all the demons were massacred. The power he used was so great that even the forest was consumed by flames. Mira fell to her knees, furious, because she did not know whether she should thank him or hate him. Back in the present, Hongling continues apologizing because she acknowledges that she was wrong, while Louis privately admits that watching this gives him an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. Mira interrupts because the Empress is already completely devastated, yet he still cannot forgive her. He thinks it is absurd that the girl has the nerve to ask him that, because his greatest question is actually what poison she used on him in his previous life. Mira is startled after realizing she has been exposed, and, despite breaking out in a cold sweat, replies that she used the heart of the killing lotus. It is a supreme treasure of the Asura imperial clan that awakens the desire to kill until the victim completely loses control. He concludes that she truly knows how to have fun if she was willing to use something like that. She asks whether he wants to continue the massacre, since he has already killed so many members of her race, and says he can let her take one more person with her. The MC simply tells her to get out of there and never appear in front of him again from that moment onward. Only then will he forgive her. Hongling continues crying and begging him not to do this, and he, completely fed up, raises his hand and fires an attack so powerful that it barely misses the two of them, meaning that if it had hit them, it would have sent them straight to the afterlife. Mira asks whether he has lost his mind, and without wasting any time, takes Hongling in her arms and flies away before they end up dead. The MC finally enjoys the pleasant feeling of being alone. As the two of them fly, Mira asks how the MC can treat her friend with such murderous intent, and whether he feels even the slightest bit of affection from their past. Hongling explains that when she attacked him in their previous life, she had not even considered that the two of them were actually lovers. Mira is now curious about something else, because she has no idea how Hongling fell in love with Wuxi, who is such a cowardly demon. She says that she does not know either, and is beginning to believe that loving someone is more complicated than she imagined. Mira points out that the man had an entire harem of concubines while he lived among the demons, and she thinks it is absurd because he lied to Hongling and betrayed her. Many demons coveted his phoenix bloodline trait and wanted to mate with him in hopes of giving birth to his children. Hongling, furious, asks why her friend did not reveal all of this in their previous life. She replies that she did not take part in that battle at the time, because otherwise she clearly would have died. Now Hongling's only concern is figuring out how to make the MC forgive her. Back on the battlefield, the cultivators are informed that Hongling was surrounded by hundreds of geniuses from other races, managed to eliminate half of them, and was then taken away by a demon. The big man punches the rock and says that this is absurd. He orders everyone to gather and shouts that he will kill every demon, ghost, devil, or whatever else they may be. At the same time, Louis continues meditating because he managed to open the 4th, 5th, and 6th special layers. Furthermore, it is now time to move elsewhere. The system asks where he is going. He says that he is going to cultivate beneath the Tao-seeking tree on the 6th layer, because the effect there is even better than that of the spiritual pool. Kronos finds this strange because the direction he is heading does not lead to the teleportation point for the 6th layer. He reveals that this is because he still needs to kill Wu Ying first. The system recognizes that he is the demonic genius who massacred hundreds of human geniuses in the previous life. He confirms this, and says that he will strike first in order to gain the advantage. After a long journey, he finally reaches the location, and immediately draws his sword because the demonic genius will arrive soon. A portal opens, and a figure appears. This is Yan, the son of the celestial demon emperor. Yan notices that there is a human in that place and decides it would be best to act cautiously because he does not know how powerful the man is. Therefore, he asks what he is doing at the demon's teleportation point. The MC replies that it is none of his business, and even tells him to get out of the way unless he wants to be caught in the crossfire. Yan prepares to respond, but that is when Wu Ying emerges from the portal, and Louis takes advantage of the opportunity to charge forward at such absurd speed that he flies past the demon and, with one clean slash, strikes Wu Ying directly in the neck. The demonic genius is confused because he was chosen as the target instead of the demon emperor's son. Yin asks not to be dragged into this, and wonders whether the MC will silence him as well. Louis says he is not interested in doing that and disappears after completing his objective. The demon feels relieved because he nearly died of fright. Soon afterward, another demonic genius emerges from the portal, asking where Wu Ying is, until he is startled and asks why the hell the man is lying dead on the ground. Yin tries to explain that he did not do it, and that it was actually a human. The demon finds this extremely strange because, if that were true, both of them should be dead. Yin does not like that suggestion because it makes it sound as though the other man wanted to see him die alongside Wu Ying. With that said, the two of them stare at how miserable they are, because they could have been killed but were spared out of pity. Much later, the MC arrives at the Tao-seeking tree. At that exact moment, he senses several presences and orders everyone to reveal themselves. Several demonic shadows emerge, and without hesitation, he cuts down everything in front of him, because only then can he sit down and activate the Tao-seeking process. A group sees the MC from afar and immediately points out that he is strong, since many disciples were killed at the heavenly spirit pool. The captain asks whether Louis has an old grudge against their sect. The monk replies that he does, and that Louis is terrifyingly powerful. The man does not care about that, activates his power to show what it truly means to be strong, and shouts for him to come out at once. The MC, who has once again been interrupted during his meditation, finds all of them far too annoying. At that moment, Chilling appears and demands to know how that group of bald men dares to disturb the MC's cultivation. He realizes that someone even more annoying has appeared, but decides to handle the situation himself. Then, moving at an absurd speed, he kills the monks one by one, even destroying their captain's Asura mode. The captain panics when he sees his power completely shattered before being utterly defeated. After witnessing this, Chuling realizes that his cultivation speed is absurd and becomes afraid that he may never look at them again. Because of this, she kneels and says that she will definitely remain by his side wherever he goes, because she is certain that she will catch up to him. She then leaves, determined to become stronger no matter the cost. Meanwhile, at a waterfall, Hongling is determined to kill Wuxi and considers herself the biggest fool in the world for having wronged the MC. At that moment, Longxiang appears with a report, saying that they have found Wuxi and hands it to her. The Silk Empress realizes that the man acted alone and has now fallen into the hands of the God race, where he is being subjected to endless torture. She finds it strange that the God race, the Demon race, and the Devil race have not simply finished him off. This makes her realize that those races believe she will turn love into hatred and will undoubtedly hunt him down, and that would be the moment when she falls into their trap. If she does not appear, his torture will simply continue, and she does not care, since that is exactly what she wants. Longxiang says that she is impressed by the strategy of the heaven-defying fairy, but Hongling denies it, saying that she simply does not want to make the same mistake again. Meanwhile, at the monk's base, it is reported that everyone was killed with a single strike. Dushan offers to test Loi personally, and if he cannot do anything, then the Tao-seeking tree is not destined for them. Everyone agrees. With that said, he gathers his energy and flies away using only his spirit, moving at an impressive speed. Moments later, he appears where the MC is. Dushan asks for guidance so that he will not need to resort to violence, and the MC finds that acceptable, since his opponent is in the void refinement realm and cannot be underestimated. The monk realizes that they will not be able to negotiate, and to make matters worse, the MC launches an attack so fast that it completely terrifies the old man, because he had actually only been bluffing, but his opponent took him seriously. The strike hits his body, and its power is so overwhelming that it sends his spirit back into his body, making him vomit from the impact. The sect members are shocked when they see the senior's condition, and even though the old man does not understand what happened, he makes it clear to everyone that from that moment onward, anyone who provokes the MC will bring disaster upon the entire sect. Elsewhere, the God clan throws Wuxi down a mountain. He refuses to leave because he believes he is the perfect bait for Hongling, who wants to kill him. They no longer see any value in that useless man because the girl no longer cares about him. This leaves him shocked because he does not want to leave, and he even asks them to hand him over to any other race, since he is certain that he will make excellent bait. At that moment, the Silk Empress appears before him, and the man grabs her legs, claiming that everyone wants to kill him, that he does not want to die, and that he only did those terrible things to her because he was terrified. She does not care, and kicks him so hard that he is sent flying. She also blames herself for believing his lies from the very beginning. After saying this, she leaves. He even asks her to wait, but deep down, he is relieved that he has finally survived. That thought does not last long, because a sword pierces his chest. It is Chuling, warning him never to touch the MC again, or he will never leave alive. At the same time, Louis receives a visitor. It is Gukingtian from the Eternal Cult, who wants to discuss a few matters. He explains that he has heard that the Tao-seeking tree is powerful, and that they also wish to cultivate beneath it, provided that Louis allows them to do so. The MC asks whether there are any conditions or anything of the sort. Deep down, he vaguely remembers that name, because he once fought the young man and barely managed to win. Gukingtian replies that there are no conditions at all. The MC has no problem with that, but he is curious about what they would do if he refused. Gukingtian apologizes, saying that as far as they are concerned, refusal is not an option. Louis finds that interesting and asks the remaining members who else thinks like that man and believes that he himself does not have the option to refuse. The first person steps forward and agrees, claiming that as a human, he should contribute to the human race and that the tree should be available to everyone. In the end, they all say the same thing, arguing that no human should be selfish, no matter how powerful they are, because the pursuit of the Tao belongs to all of humanity. The MC realizes that they do not want to discuss anything and are simply using their numerical advantage to rob him in broad daylight. Because of this, he draws his sword and charges forward to begin the game. Gukingtian also prepares himself and creates a shield that, upon being struck, causes an explosion so powerful that it sends him flying into a massive rock. The MC starts moving again at an absurd speed, cutting down everyone in front of him. The sect falls into despair because their companions are being finished off with a single strike, and they can barely even see his movements. At that moment, someone calls out to the MC in a sweet voice. It is Ding, an old acquaintance of his. She asks whether he truly intends to kill everyone present. He says that they can all live, but points at the first cultivator who annoyed him, declaring that this man will die. The man makes it clear that he carries the Supreme Imperial Seal, and that if he is killed, the Imperial Dynasty will pursue the MC to the ends of the earth. The MC finds that interesting, so he stomps on the ground with enough force to destroy everything around him. His sword bursts into flames, and he moves at such an absurd speed that the man is struck without even knowing what just happened. The man concludes that the MC is definitely insane before collapsing lifelessly to the ground. Louis uses his power and confirms that the body truly possessed the Supreme Imperial Seal. Since he has already started killing, he decides to finish everyone off at once. The sect descends into panic, and everyone begins running away except for Ding, who asks him not to do this, because if he continues the slaughter, not even the Great Tao sect will be able to protect him. Wushuang also appears and begs him not to kill anyone else. Louis takes a deep breath and says that it is fine, because he will stop out of consideration for the Great Sect. However, he still needs just one more person. After saying this, he disappears from their sight. After recovering from the impact, Gukingtian feels relieved that he was not pursued. His happiness does not last long, because a gigantic divine sword is heading straight toward him. He even activates his Green Lotus barrier, but it is completely useless, as it is destroyed in the very same second, and his body is pierced through, killing him before he can even react. The MC likes this because everything has finally become quiet. He then turns toward the rest of the guild and makes it clear that he alone was responsible for everything that happened, and if they want revenge, they should come after him. He also states that if they want to stay alive, they must disappear immediately, because he will count to 10, and, after that, he will kill everyone present. He begins counting, causing everyone to tremble in fear and flee faster than they have ever run in their lives. At the same time, outside the Heavenly Pride battlefield, a group asks who killed the people of the Supreme Dynasty. One man warns that no matter who was responsible, this will never go unpunished. Shulan becomes worried because she is almost certain that Louis was responsible. Back at the Great Tree, the MC continues cultivating, and several members of the demon race appear, pointing out that he was responsible for killing a demonic genius, and that they must not provoke him under any circumstances. They are stunned that the human race has produced such an incomparable genius. Yen says that they now have only one choice. They must wait until the final 3 layers of the battlefield open, and when that happens, the true powerhouses of every tribe will unite to eliminate him. Everyone approves of this wise decision. With no further problems, the MC continues cultivating as he has reached the 12th layer of the nascent soul and has already comprehended almost everything possible. When the final 3 layers open, he will retrieve the immaculate pearl of the Blood Sea. He becomes increasingly excited as he is eager to deliver a powerful blow to the ranking of eternal geniuses. He also gets up because it is time to leave, but before that can happen, the tree branch touches his body and he understands the message, as the tree is quite clever for wanting him to take it along. With that settled, He heads to Mount Wansheng and immediately realizes who is there. It is Huan Ling, who senses his presence at the same moment. Louis launches his attack because his treasure is being stolen, and she simply disappears upon receiving the blow. He knows she is clever because she did not even dare to face the attack head-on, despite possessing the celestial demon's blood transformation. In any case, he goes to retrieve the Dao Bell, since it belongs to him. Meanwhile, far away, Huanling continues watching everything, and, despite refusing to accept being rejected like that, begins cultivating, as she has already reached the 7th layer of the nascent soul and is approaching the 9th layer. She declares that even if she is not his lover in this life, she will still become an empress, and will be even stronger than she was in her previous life. 3 days later, the sky begins behaving differently. The MC recognizes that the final 3 layers of the ancient battlefield have opened and therefore flies away, as the moment has finally arrived. On the other side, he heads toward the immaculate pearl of the Blood Sea, because he remembers that the place was beneath the stone cliff where the eternal heavenly pride resided. He identifies its exact location and begins walking through the water. Meanwhile, several monsters are watching because they have lost track of Louis. The Tiger King says that his last known location has been found, and that they must proceed according to plan, as the demon race will reveal the heaven-suppressing 4 symbols formation. All the races activate their formations, each in a different location. The girls, watching from outside, wonder what the hell the races are doing. Chulin tries to explain what she thinks, but Chuling interrupts her because she understands perfectly what the formations mean, although she wants to know what the races intend to do by using them. Shulan replies that they are probably targeting Louis. The girl becomes frightened because she cannot imagine how much trouble he caused to make so many different races unite against him. The Silk Empress asks her master to attack before it is too late. She understands the message and executes her attack, which flies across the entire continent. The monsters soon realize they are being sabotaged, and the monk attempts to counterattack, but his strike is completely frozen, making him understand the difference in power between them. The rain of ice continues and completely riddles the ordinary monsters. On the other side, the other demon races try to stop the attack, and absolutely every race joins forces to prevent themselves from being disrupted. Hongling decides to help, as does Chuling, who also uses a weapon to attack. But an extremely powerful demon blocks the attacks and declares that she will die. This frightens the Empress so much that she asks her master to take over the attacks. She sees no problem with that and fires her rain of ice once again, but the strongest members of the races appear to block it. The elephant-headed creature feels pressured because he will not be able to endure much longer until a female demon appears to help, attacking from high in the sky. However, the attack is not strong enough, and Hulan simply cuts her down with her ice blade. At that moment, another even more powerful monster appears and launches several dark strikes. This time, the master realizes that the situation is about to worsen and orders the girls to flee. The two immediately obey, but Hongling cries out for her, afraid of what might happen. Choling tells her not to worry, as she is a powerful woman and will not die. The ice cultivator gathers all her lunar energy because the situation has now become serious. The demon charges forward without hesitation, manages to destroy the ice barrier she created, and even lands a blow on her. However, his arm also freezes, and the two find themselves trapped by each other's power. But that does not stop the battle from continuing fiercely above the waters. Time passes, and the MC finally reaches the immaculate pearl of the Blood Sea. He picks it up in his hand, notices that it has suddenly become cold, and immediately realizes that Chulan has taken action. He leaves the water and watches the magnificent spectacle unfolding before him. He notices that 4 formations have been created and finds it incredible that so many people have appeared to kill him, making him feel like a greatly honored guest. He barely has time to watch for long before a gigantic attack heads straight toward him. He is not shaken by something so insignificant and cuts the attack in half. The demons realize that their target has finally appeared, but the second Louis spots them, he finishes both of them off with surreal speed. All 4 races prepare their strongest powers to restrain him. Yen merely watches from afar, because he knew he only had to let the 4 races gather together to kill him. The powerful attacks are unleashed, but Louis considers them child's play and annihilates them all as though he were slicing butter for breakfast. However, he finds something intriguing, as the 4 symbols are formed entirely from energy and cannot be destroyed even when cut apart, meaning that continuing to fight that way will accomplish nothing. A divine weapon appears in front of his head, and he counterattacks, telling it to disappear, but an enormous beam of light strikes him with full force. Hongling cries out for her senior. On the other hand, Chulan calls him her husband, leaving Chuling utterly embarrassed that she dared to address him the same way she did in their previous life. The races claim that a mere nascent soul cultivator is not even worthy of such arrogance, and that, in the end, they simply overestimated him. Louis clenches his fist tightly and activates his ability, which transforms emptiness into reality, and from that moment onward, the nascent soul will exist eternally between heaven and earth. The seal breaks, and he enters a state of fury. Chulan becomes worried because the killing lotus is erupting at that very moment, and he does not stop attacking, eliminating every creature in front of him. Her master tells the girls to evacuate the ancient battlefield because anyone left behind will die. Chuling asks whether it is truly that terrifying and how long he cultivated to become like this. She replies that the MC has now transformed into a complete monster who knows only how to kill and will use any possible method to massacre everyone around him. Therefore, all three flee from that place. Chulan immediately communicates telepathically with all the geniuses of the Great Tao sect, ordering them to flee the ancient battlefield within 15 minutes or they will die. Louis can no longer control himself, even after killing all the demons in front of him. One of them is still alive, and upon sensing his presence, Louis grabs him by the neck and uses his own teeth to finish off the monster. He is in ecstasy from all the slaughter and shouts for the formation's core to shatter. The divine weapon appears once again to attack, and he finds it amusing that he is about to witness the same move again. But this time, he attacks with such force that the weapon has no time to do anything. The monks panic because the Vajra Pestlo was destroyed as though it were nothing, and therefore they kneel down, begging for mercy. A new cultivator appears and can hardly believe that his target is so powerful. Therefore, he executes his Aeotian strike at maximum power. Louis finds this excellent because someone from the Tao integration realm has finally appeared. He readies his fist and delivers a punch that completely shatters the attack, leaving the madman terrified. To make matters worse, Louis approaches at a sinister speed because someone dared to try to interfere with him, and he orders the man to look carefully at the dogs lying on the ground, since every single person who stood in his way was eliminated. Once again, he uses his shattering strike and tears the cultivator's soul from his body. He holds it in his hand and devours all of its power. Then, he laughs and releases his energy once more, devastating everything around him. The nearby cultivators realize the danger they are facing and prepare to flee, but their bodies are paralyzed by a matrix formation. Even the demon cannot understand who the hell used this formation within the perimeter. The MC knows that this formation is meant to prevent him from escaping, and when he looks up, he sees Huayu. This terrifies the man because he is invisible and was still detected, even though his cloak is an innate spiritual treasure that his master gave him to save his life. Louis finds this interesting because now that no one can escape, his massacre becomes even more sinister as he eliminates everyone still present at the scene. Huayu cannot believe that someone like this appeared in the first heaven, so he disappears because he needs to inform the sect immediately. The MC finishes shattering the matrix formation and is surprised by its power because it belongs to the Celestial Pavilion, and he did not expect them to be present as well. He then flies away because there are still some living beings left, and he wants to continue his massacre. Outside, the girls finally arrive safe and sound, and Chulan cannot understand why the hell there are still so many people inside. One of the cultivators blames her for what is happening because the ancient battlefield was the perfect opportunity for everyone, but someone ruined all their dreams, so he demands an explanation. She explains that an ancient being with a demonic obsession appeared on the battlefield, and that his power is terrifying, capable of killing everyone, even those at a high level. Any living being that crosses his path will be massacred. She even swears upon her Grand Master and asks him to order everyone to leave immediately. He cannot believe that someone so powerful exists. Another cultivator also thinks it is nonsense and asks who this supposedly powerful demon is. Chulan is left speechless and replies that she has no idea who is massacring the others. He accepts this answer until a seal breaks, and the man laments, because this means that the second prince has been eliminated. That's all, folks. If you enjoy the video, subscribe and hit the bell. Thanks.